Hey everyone, welcome to Rewind and React, the show where we hit rewind on the most iconic and unforgettable music videos of all time and give our reactions to every frame. I'm Adam El-Tarhouni.
That's right, and I'm Rob Fine. Each episode, we take a look back at some of the most influential artists and their music videos, everything from the visuals to the hidden meanings, wild behind-the-scenes stories, and collaborative efforts that brought these videos to life.
Yeah, and today we are actually going to take a look at My Chemical Romance, and Rob was kind enough to pick out a few of, I think, your favorite songs, or at least some of the top songs. They have a ton of videos out there that we're going to cover in this episode, and we are going to take a look at, in release order, I'm Not Okay, Helena, Welcome to the Black Parade, Na 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 Na, I believe, and The Sing. So the reason we're picking My Chemical Romance is because they've just re-announced their Black Parade tour. And if I remember, Rob, you went to that when it came out the first time. Is that correct?
I did, yeah. They had Muse opening for them. Yeah, My Chemical Romance and Gwinnett Arena or something like that. I forget the name of the venue, but amazing show. Absolutely bonkers. I've seen them twice since. They still got it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, one thing I noticed a little bit in my reading is they've, I guess, stopped playing, or they've not broken up, stopped doing music for a while, and then they got back into it, and they stopped doing tours, and they stopped getting back into it. So, yeah, it was interesting to see they're one of those bands that just say, don't feel like doing music right now, and then they'll just go back to it.
Well, the main singer, Gerard Way, has got his hands in a lot of different things. So I could see how maybe he gets a little overly busy. He's a comic book writer. He's created at least one television show, maybe two, I say. They've also, in like looking through these videos, I noticed that there's almost a different drummer in every video. They've gone through some drummers, so that might also be part of it.
Yeah, and just for audience, you know, if you're not familiar, Gerard has done the popular Umbrella Academy graphic novels and the TV show. So you see a lot of that influence from My Chemical Romance in that series and the comic book. So yeah, before we kick it off, first of all, what a fun set of videos, right? Like I could watch them all on repeat. Maybe one would be the exception, but yeah, they really do a good job with their production.
They really do. And in listening to some of the behind the scenes videos on some of these videos, hearing the band talk about the videos and why they chose to do certain things, you can tell that they're a big fan of music videos themselves. Like they grew up on Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins videos. So they had such an appreciation for those. And that plus Gerard Way's, very creative style of comic books and everything else. You can see why he'd want to put a lot into the videos when they release them. I've always thought they do an amazing job at their music videos. So when we decided to do this band, I was like, all right, now we got a good set of music videos. Finally.
Everything's a banger in this one, I would say. So let's kick it off with I'm Not Okay, parentheses, I Promise, which was released in September of 2004.
All right, this one is framed as a teen movie trailer. The video follows the band members as outcasts in this fictional high school, navigating bullying, love, and general teen angst. Through some humorous, quick cut scenes, the video shows the band fighting back against cliques and standing up for themselves and forming their own misfit community. And interspersed with these fast cuts, we get exaggerated captions like, if you've ever felt left out. Basically an emo anthem kind of thing. We get a lot of over-the-top scenarios that you would only find in a cheesy teen movie from like the 90s. And the climax features a showdown. The video kind of captures the band blend of drama and comedy. And definitely, yeah, like I said, defining moment of the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think, emo really blew up, in my opinion, in the 2000s with Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance. But this one really, I don't know if they topped Fall Out Boy in popularity per se, but they really became kind of such a big emo band, especially with their wardrobe and everything throughout this time.
Yeah, absolutely. When you used the term emo back in the early 2000s, I mean, I guess Fall Out Boy was close to it, but, nowadays we think of bands like Green Day and Blink-182 as emo. And that wasn't like the case back then in 2000. It was like, yeah, My Chemical Romance, Dashboard Confessional, these bands that definitely had a lot of, I guess angst would be the overarching phrase, or emotional, right? But you think of like some kid crying, right? It's just like it's like a whiny sound, not to like disparage that at all. But yeah, this was the emo band when it came out. And now we've kind of expanded that term, but they definitely were that signature band when they came out.
I know what you're saying. Emo definitely blew up as a mainstream genre right during this time. And it was thanks to Dashboard Confessionals, Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, and there's a few others I can't think of. But yeah, it's funny at the time too, as such a negative, I guess. People were like, oh, emo, and I get it. They dress in dark colors and it was kind of goth adjacent, but it's good stuff.
Yeah. So the video itself clearly shot as somewhat of like a movie trailer. I get a lot of, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, but I get a lot of Rushmore vibes.
Yep.
Maybe it's just because they have the, the school uniforms on. They certainly seem to be in a more preppier school, almost looks like a private school. I think that's intentional. Show the drastic contrast between the preppy kids and the emo kids in this video.
Yeah, I like the visuals. They are fun. It's cool to see kind of that typical high school setting. There were some couple like parts what I didn't understand, and maybe it's like a reference to something. So one thing is, and this is kind of like an interesting fact, is like that dancing scene, which I just thought they threw a dancing scene, is actually behind the scenes they were talking about is a homage to Fisher King, the movie with Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams. I've never seen the film, but they wanted to put an homage in there, so that's why that dancing is in there. So that makes sense. But the part that threw me off is when someone goes to the restroom and unzips their pants, and then it cuts to like a side profile, and like the woman comes out of it, I guess, or comes out of the bathroom stall or something like that. Not even her. It's just that, and then the boy in the pants leaves, and then the woman's there, and I'm like, is this a reference to something? Is this weird? Or maybe it went over my head.
I don't know specifically what they're referencing there, but I definitely think of something like Porky's or Revenge of the Nerd, one of those sex comedies that was also a teen movie.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you're right. Yeah, it's a fun video to watch. It's cool to see. We mentioned this before recording, but the quality, I wish the videos that these bands would upload to YouTube would have a higher quality, because as we go on, the quality is great in the videos on YouTube. And this one is very like, even high def, it's a little grainy, and it's only 20 years ago. The technology's there. It's not like they couldn't have made a high def video of this or release it, but
does it not take you back to high school with the quality?
That is the days when we would make videos in high school for English class, Okay, I take that back. Maybe that's intentional.
That was just a joke. No, I imagine the video itself is good quality. Like if you go bought a My Chemical Romance DVD of their videos, it would be good quality. But I've seen this with other videos, especially from this time. YouTube was so new, they would upload it to YouTube. YouTube killed the quality because they were also trying to conserve space. Even my own like videos I've posted on YouTube, if I look at them from that time, they look terrible. Especially like videos from abroad, the encoding was off, and like you see these little lines going all over the place. And I'm like, why don't they just re-upload it? I feel like YouTube should have some kind of service for music videos at the very least, where you can give them a better quality now and you don't lose any of your metrics or anything like that.
Yeah, a lot of them have that Vivo account, which I never really understood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know if that's just like a production company that manages all these bands' videos or anything like that. But yeah, maybe there needs to be something to help this. Otherwise, I guess if you have the DVD copy, watch that. Again, fun video with the director, and you probably knew this, but it's directed by Mark Webb, who also will do the next video for My Chemical Romance. But he's famous for doing the Amazing Spider-Man films. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of those films. They were okay. There's a lot of kind of issues with them, but I mean, not his fault entirely. But yeah, he's a big name director now, and he really watching this. And if you want, there's a making of video online. My Chemical Romance talked about how he actually came up with this concept of this video of being like a high school trailer parody. So they like working with him, and it's cool to see kind of, again, these directors that turn into big film directors as well.
Yeah. Speaking of Mark Webb, Move Along by All American Rejects to like Coheed and Cambria songs, AFI. He struck them some of the early emo videos.
Yeah. And he did a good job. Another interesting tidbit is that the band's manager is the one in the mascot costume. So that's the one they beat up in the end during the cheerleading scene, which is fun. And yeah, again, if you get a chance and you really like My Chemical Romance, you've probably already seen this behind the scene video. But yeah, it's fun to see kind of the band really getting involved and getting into it and really dressing up and going to do these videos, and how long these productions take just for like a 2-minute video. But this video also has a lot of cuts and a lot of scenes maybe not a lot of cuts, but a lot of scenes. So it makes sense. Like they're really setting up so much. You know, there's the science class. There's one of them going into the principal's office and playing the cassette tape of their music. And then, of course, you have them playing in the garage, which is also fun because he really gets into his music.
Yeah. They have making the video for this. They have it for a few of their early videos. I guess that's something that we lost moving away from the MTV culture is they put with fun, a very well done behind the scenes. So this was a great watch because, you know, their first big video, and we get to see how these kids at the time, you know, were reacting to real sets and doing their first video. The little fun facts from it, there's a part where Gerard gets hit in the face with a dodgeball in the video. It was unscripted. It was actually an accident, but it just added to that, like, outcast.
That's awesome. Yeah, and according to the internet, this is like their first real big breakout. Like this video put them kind of on the map. And I don't know if they had an album before this, you probably might know, but this was like really big one.
Yeah, they had one album, not a lot of big hits from that one. I brought you my bullets, you brought me your love.
Good emo title, yeah.
But clearly, yeah, Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge was their big breakout, this album.
Awesome. Okay, should we hop into the next one?
Let's do it.
All right, so this one I mispronounced until I heard or watched the behind the scenes video. I thought it was Helena, but it's Helena.
Yeah.
And this was also from the same album, and it was released in May of 2005. As we mentioned, it's Mark Webb again, but yeah, this one's different tone.
Definitely. The video takes place at a funeral in a church. We've got mourners dressed in black, gathered to grieve, and the ceremony begins with an interpreted dance sequence. The title character, Helena, lies in a coffin, but unexpectedly rises to perform a haunting dance halfway through the video, gently gliding her hands over the heads and shoulders of those gathered. And as the video concludes, Helena is carried out of the church in a dramatic procession with dancers twirling umbrellas, theatrical choreography on both sides.
What a fun, weird one, I think, on first watching, I guess.
Yeah, not what you'd expect from a band like this, right?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like, I'm like, what is this? It's a funeral. Everyone's getting into it. People are dancing. I was like, what am I watching here? And it's very, like, signature of their, like, black and red colors that we see in a lot of their stuff and also in the Umbrella Academy and things like that. How'd you like it?
I love this one. I think this might be the best choreographed rock music video of all time. There's like Paralyzer by Finger 11 is really good too, but you know, you don't get a lot of like dance choreography rock videos. I guess now we're starting to get to, like, baby metal. I bring them up on this podcast way too much. Yeah, but you know, like that's a little bit different, right? In traditional rock videos, yeah, it's very rare that we get this level of choreography. So I think it's very fun. It does seem a little sloppy. I mean, the choreography is really good because it's got like this modern, like interpretive dance feel to it. So you don't have to be like, everybody doesn't have to hit their number at the same time. But I think it's kind of Gerard's hair, I think, is what kind of leads to sloppiness because it's kind of all over his face as he's singing. And I think that's intentional. You know, he's him at a funeral, he's being incredibly dramatic and emotional. So you get that hair kind of constantly getting in his eyes and all over his face. We saw it in this first one in I'm Not Okay as well. Like the hair just won't stay out of his face. Maybe that's why he changes it in the next video. In addition to that, it doesn't feel like it's polished, the video. And again, I do think that's intentional to add this like fragility to the ambiance that they're putting together with the funeral. You know, people break down, they grieve in different ways. And I think that's part of what they wanted to show with like some of the, I wouldn't even call it film quality, some of the camera work, just general style that they had in the video.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. And, you know, one of the things that I think throws me off too when watching it is that when Helena gets up and she's doing her dance and I guess she might have been a ballerina because she's wearing ballet shoes and she's like twirling around, but then she grabs like the camera and moves it forward and pulls it back and pushes it away. Yeah, that part does seem a little like uneven or like it doesn't fit the theme of the rest of what we're watching of like this big funeral scene is. I don't know. It's I wouldn't call it quite breaking the fourth wall, but maybe it is. Like just, yeah, she's interacting with the audience now by moving the camera around, and that threw me off the first watch.
So kind of like that she does that though, because, you know, as she's like gliding through the aisle, and gently like stroking her hand over people's heads or shoulders and stuff like that. And she's like this lingering presence, even though, the character has died. These people think of like the memories of her and everything like that. And when she pulls the camera, it's almost like you're letting her go, but then, she's pulling you back in. I kind of like that bit of it. It almost feels sloppy in the execution, but yeah, I feel like maybe that's what they intended. Either way, I felt like the action itself had that kind of meaning behind it, especially because she drops right after that, right back into the coffin.
So maybe it was all in our minds for all we know. Yeah, you're right. It's a good video though. It's cool, walking out with the pallbearers and the rain and the umbrellas. One thing, we mentioned this again, but these YouTube videos, they put too much at the end where we can't really see the final part of the video. And in the final part of the video, we do get Gerard like closing the door of the hearse and looking out through the window at the back, but you're blocked by like 4 other blocks that YouTube has to recommend different videos or different things like that. So you kind of lose a little bit of that effect. I think it was cool just to see like kind of that final scene also of him just like looking into the camera, into the hearse as kind of a final goodbye.
I completely agree with what you're saying. Those, I don't know if you call them thumbnails or end nails. I don't know, that they put at the end of videos. I remember College Humor started doing these things called end plates about around this time where they'd like finish their video and then there would be another 30 seconds of them like saying, oh, click over here for this, click over here for that, right? I wish music videos had that as well, but then that might get kind of annoying. But yeah, I hate those things so much.
I think like we talked previously, YouTube's become kind of the place to put your videos, and the competitors kind of fell to the wayside. But if we had some kind of competing service that like was like, oh, we upload all the music videos and we don't put these things at the end, it would be kind of appreciated, because I can see them some places. And when I do some videos now too, I actually add like 2 to 3 seconds of blank space at the end of the video just for this stuff, because I don't want to lose the quality of it. But yeah, we don't really have any other choice right now. Well, yeah, lots of interesting things for this video. And as you mentioned, the dance was choreographed by Michael Rooney, who's known for his work on music videos like Fatboy Slim's Weapon of Choice. So they did choose kind of a pretty high profile choreographer for this dance, which kind of shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this one also has, like you mentioned, a behind the scenes video, which was fun to watch. There's a lot of cool little tidbits of them filming. One of the biggest things is it was raining unintentionally that day that they filmed the outside thing. And so Mark was like, well, I guess it looks really cool, so I hope the band will just have to be okay with it. And so that scene wasn't intended to be like all wet while he's singing to the camera while bringing the coffin down in the wet rain, but it really works.
Wow, yeah. That's very surprising. The action, it turns out great, like in the video. I would have always thought they were intentionally wanting the rain there. Yeah, I love how it looks with them walking out. The way he's singing with the rain on his face.
Yeah. So Mark Webb, I think he said the rain is probably making people miserable, but in the long run, it'll make people happy, which is true. You kind of have to suffer through some of these poor things. But in the end, when the work looks great, it really helps. So there are 6 pallbearers, 5 members of My Chemical Romance. So there was actually a fan named Cameron that was asked to be in the video, and he became one of the pallbearers. Weight distribution was pretty off. So I think Gerard said, that it felt fine at first, and then out of nowhere, it feels like you're holding a coffee table by yourself. I think I know the scene, because when they're walking down the stairs, and anyone who's ever moved furniture or large objects downstairs will know that if you're at the bottom part, that's where all the weight is, and you feel like no one else is doing anything, and you're like, okay, this sucks.
You got to pivot.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of pivoting. Also, during that scene, apparently Frank, he must be the background vocals and guitar player, but he said he's 4'11", and so he was too short for doing anything to help carry the coffin. Like, he was just touching it because everyone else was so much taller that he couldn't really do much to it.
Now that makes sense why in the last video, I'm Not Okay, he was the one that was stuffs in the locker.
He fits in the locker, and it's funny, if you watch that behind the scenes video too, I think Gerard said, oh, he's used to being stuffed in lockers. Being 4'11", yeah, that definitely helps. The church were a lot of fans, so most of the people on the fans were extras. And apparently there was only about 25% as many as it looks like, because they use special effects to do crowd duplication to fill in all the blanks. The church that they filmed at is Emmanuel Presbyterian Church on Wilshire Boulevard in LA. It was used as a location in The Amazing Spider-Man. It's been used in Sister Act 2, Legally Blonde 2, and John Wick. So it's kind of a famous location for filming, I guess, church scenes.
Oh, yeah. Seems like it. What was the name of that church?
It is called Emmanuel Presbyterian Church on Wilshire Boulevard in LA. It also apparently in 2024, a couple who met during an emo karaoke event married at that church, fulfilling like a teenage dream. So I guess fans love this place.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is really cool. And then it was actually nominated for a lot of videos. So nominated for 5 Moon Men at the 2005 Video Music Awards. It lost, I think, in all categories. They lost to Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and The Killers, which were also really obviously a big band. I think Green Day's American Idiot came out during that time.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
Yeah, it's just like, coming out in the year that Godfather came out or something like that. Like, there's a lot of competition there.
Actually, that was their first big tour. They opened for Green Day. Nope, I'm sorry. It was Smashing Pumpkins. Second tour was Green Day.
Overall, fun video. Cool to see the umbrellas and a nod to future Umbrella Academy visuals, I think.
Wow, look at that. And it wasn't even intended.
It's great. This Gerard is on to something.
So, man, did they change the choreography the day of to include the umbrellas?
Well, I think the umbrellas were always going to be there. And I think it just happened to rain. So Mark Webb didn't mention anything in the behind the scenes video, but I have a feeling that they were always going to have umbrellas there. And then it just started to rain. Because the umbrellas are all matching, right? And like it's the Black Rain style. So there's no way they didn't like wake up the next day. Because the outside scene was day 2 of filming, if I remember correctly. Or might have been day 1. Either way, it was not planned. Like the rain's not planned. And I don't know how you're going to find that many umbrellas. But also it's LA. So they probably have a shop that has all this stuff. Or, a studio that can just pull them in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got one more thing. The actress who plays Helena is Tracy Phillips. This is just a little interesting trivia. She's the daughter of NFL coaching legend Wade Phillips.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know who Wade Phillips is. What team did he coach for?
So he's done a lot, but he was with the Denver Broncos when they won back in 15, as the 2014 season.
Was the Peyton Manning one?
Yes, Peyton Manning, yeah. And he took the LA Rams. He was the defensive coordinator at that point, but he took the LA Rams to their Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Interesting. So was he a coach during this video? Like, was he a coach at the time?
Yeah, he was a coach from the 70s all the way to I think he's still a head coach, just not in the NFL. But yeah, he's been coaching the whole time.
Jeez, how old is it?
77.
Wow. Okay, good. Well, that is cool and interesting. So, yeah, nice. Should we hop into the big one? And I only say the big one because this is the big album. If you know anything about My Chemical Romance, it's this album and this song. So, Welcome to the Black Parade, released in September 2006.
Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in the summer to join the Black Parade.
We are opening with a man called the Patient on his deathbed. And we watch as he reflects on his life and lives the final moments of time on Earth. He breathes his final breath and scenes just to a dark, desolate cityscape where there's a mysterious marching band clad in these black military-style marching uniforms. The band represents kind of like transition from life to death, I would say. And cities in ruins with this post-apocalyptic feel. The Patient watches the procession from a distance, captivated, solemn. Interspersed with the marching band scenes, we see these flashbacks of the Patient's childhood. We see his parents with these muted tones. And the Black Parade continues its march through this destroyed city. The Patient now begins to experience this visual transformation. He, started with this frail bedridden form, and then he starts standing a little bit taller. He joins the Black Parade and he walks along these ghostly figures through this parade. And then the parade itself concludes. There's this awkward sense of closure, or maybe a lack of closure, really. The final moments of the video show the Patient standing alone, walking away from the parade into this new realm. That is Welcome to the Black Parade.
What did you think of this one? First of all, now and then when it came out?
I don't think my opinion's changed. It's one of the best videos of its time. I know you're going to get into the director in a little bit because of who he is, but I think of videos like Smells Like Teen Spirit that kind of changed how videos were made at the time. Something like Tonight. These epic videos that became that catalyst for an entire genre of music videos, let's say. This is that one. When it came out, just the power behind both the music and the video itself. Wow, what a video.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the director, so we might as well talk about him, Samuel Bayer. who did, of course, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I assume you know the other main ones he's done.
He did Bullet with Butterfly Wings, Until It Sleeps by Metallica, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, American.
He's done most of the Green Day American Idiot album, I think, right?
Yeah, I think he might have done all of it. I'm not sure about that. Might be one or two that he do, but yeah, what a resume this guy's got as far as music videos. And he's an intense guy. I've heard the same thing about James Cameron. Not really a pleasure to be around on the set. Whole lot of, rage. The way he communicates is not how you would talk to somebody. The way he yells at people, and he's trying to get his vision exactly right. I understand that, but I don't know. I don't understand how people work with it. But I guess the end result is great, and nobody died, I guess.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't research much of Samuel Bayer, but one other thing he did one movie, Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 version, which I haven't seen.
Was that with Mara Rooney?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that one.
Yeah. What was it good?
I liked it. I was never a huge Freddy fan in general, so I couldn't really compare it to the early ones. But I thought it was entertaining.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm curious now with all you said, if like he got to make one movie and now he hasn't made any movies since. And I don't know anything about him again, so maybe that's not the case. But that would be interesting to see if, maybe the music video world can put up with him in that sense. But maybe the rest of the film world is like, well, this was not a Nightmare on Elm Street is not a Terminator or Titanic.
Right. Yeah. You can put up with him for a few days, but yeah, I don't know about the rights of an entire movie.
Exactly. But going back to the video, you're right. It's really cool. It's iconic. Doesn't hurt that the song is iconic. Like that whole piano intro that I think is pretty recognizable by anyone.
Just that G alone, right? That solemn.
Yeah, it's so cool. I don't know how to play the piano, but maybe I'll just learn that like first few bit because it can't be that hard.
It's actually very, very easy, and it's easy to memorize because it's really just scale going down. And at every other note, they just do 5 steps up. It's like ding, 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 ding. But you just, in between them, you just add one little extra note. It's super easy to memorize.
Okay, I'm going to have to memorize it because I am not a music person. So, you saying scales really, or 5 steps up really throws me off. But I'll look it up. Yeah, it's a cool video. It's really a switch from what they look like also, at least for Gerard. Like you mentioned this earlier, but he changes his hairstyle. From what I gathered or what I read is he dyed his hair blonde because he wanted to have more of a bald look, but not going bald, it's a respectable choice, right? Like, I don't think he wants to shave his head, but he can give that look. And it does have that, like the black marching band uniforms. This does tell a narrative. You have to pay attention, I believe. But if you watch this closely, you can see what's going on with the patient and his death is coming. And now he's reverting into this world and maybe these memories and probably this parade he went to as a kid, because the song kind of mentions this black parade, and like thinking about that and just realizing his life and what's come to him. But again, I think you have to watch it a couple times, because on the first watch, when it's doing that little like kind of zoom into the black to like cut out and then cut it back. And then a few times I just thought that was a silly directing choice, but it was actually him like kind of going into this world.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that almost like a Looney Tunes kind of black circle, then it comes back out. I love that because it's like he was dying and he like clings back to life for a little bit, right? Because like that's what they do at the end of the Looney Tunes. It was like, you see that little circle go, that's the end, right? But then it comes back out. It's like, I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. Right?
Yeah, it's a cool video, and it's a long video, obviously, because it's a long song, but it doesn't feel long. It feels like you're still seeing everything and you're like trying to absorb everything you see in this world, even though it's mostly black and white, with the exception of like the red roses on the parade float and things like that. And then of course the band just singing along as this procession goes so slowly through this post-apocalyptic world, or maybe his dreams, his memories, for all we know.
Yeah, I see it as, he himself is dying, right? Or is dead. And so the world he has known is dying. So all this destruction in the city, you see like rubble everywhere. Because, his whole world came crashing down because he's dead. So that's what I thought for all decor around the dystopian world that he's going to. I do have a fun little thing that Gerard Way commented on. I personally, when he talks about the beginning, the dad asks the patient what he's going to do when he grows up. We'll never find out because he doesn't grow up. He ends up dying, right? But Gerard Way had this to say about it. I always like to believe that death comes for you however you want subconsciously. Maybe it's like a manifestation of a strong dream. So for this character, the patient who was dying tragically young in the hospital, his strongest memory is of his father taking him to see a parade in the big city when he was a little boy. That's why death comes for him in the form of this black parade. Oh, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. And I think we see that a lot, kind of mentioning Umbrella Academy again, of that kind of how they approach death and different aspects of things. Yeah, it's a cool concept. You know, you mentioned the patient who's played by actor Lucas Haas, and he's been in a few other things. I haven't seen any of the other Black Parade videos from the album. We don't have any more on this. Is there a whole storyline with him?
No, there's not. This is his only appearance in the music videos for this album. However, yeah, you mentioned the other music videos from this album. They had originally intended to make more, but I guess record company said no. So they had this one, which was a huge success. They did a few others, which didn't have near the reception as the Black Parade, or Welcome to the Black Parade, rather. But Lucas Haas, you've seen him before, right? And other things.
He looks familiar, and I looked up the movie, like the shows he's in, but I can't really picture him.
So I know him from Mars Attacks. He's like one of the main, I don't want to, I guess the movie's like, 30 years old, so it's okay to spoil.
Yeah, I can spoil this.
He's one of the survivors at the end and kind of like the hero of mankind.
Is he Jack Black's brother? No.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for anyone familiar with Mars Attacks, it's about Mars attacking, and it's a very silly movie, but it's fun. And out in the middle of, I guess, Arizona or Nevada, these people that live out in this trailer. And now that I'm like thinking about this movie, I can picture him now pretty clear. Yeah, because Jack Black plays like the older son that's kind of
military.
Military. He's a dull, but his parents really like him. He's like, oh, you're going to serve your country for fighting against these aliens. And Lucas is the younger brother. And they have a sister also, or is there any other sibling in the movie? I can't remember, but like he's the one that needs to get away. He's like, we need to get away from this and all this stuff. A couple other cool facts about this video. So the iconic black marching band uniforms were designed by Colleen Atwood, who is an Academy Award-winning costume designer. She's famous for Chicago, Memoirs of a Geisha, and most recently Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So she did the costume design for those movies. And those black marching band uniforms, I'm sure a lot of people made their versions of it. It's still very popular. I mean, Lil Nas X wore a similar outfit during his Grammy performance. So, yeah, they're really cool costumes that I think now as you see them, you might not recognize them as well, but you know it's something. It's not just like someone wearing a marching band outfit.
Clearly, they're intentionally black, especially with Gerard hair. Kind of looks like a skeleton. The deep eyes, eye makeup and everything. And what's funny is I watched this last night with my daughter, and I asked her afterwards, what was your favorite part? And she said when the man from the hospital bed turned into a skeleton because he had dark circles on his eyes. Very cool. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Because he died. I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The only other thing I had, and maybe you watched this, but apparently they released 24 minutes of outtakes from this video. So it's not bloopers, but really just like unused shots, which that's a lot for a video. And I didn't get around to watching it. But if you're really like interested in this video, you can look that up.
I have not seen that, but I will definitely look it up. I talked a little bit earlier about the G major scale at the end of the song. And I know we're kind of moving away from the video here, but just a cool little like musical thing. At the end of the song, we kind of shift from G major to A major, and it kind of gives you this ascension feeling. And a lot of rock songs do it. Bon Jovi's, almost every Bon Jovi song, really. But at that end, when you shift a little bit, and you're like, oh, I thought I could karaoke this. I can't do it anymore. They do them here, but it almost kind of gives you this like, it times up perfectly with the video where he's finished the parade and he's kind of ascending to the next step, the next life, the next realm. So it's just like a neat little way that the song matches up with the video. And man, I love the visuals in this like landscape. For some reason, blimps were everywhere when I was a kid. Like we could hear blimps at baseball games, and I feel like every movie had a blimp in it at some point. You don't see them anymore as an adult. Like you never hear about a blimp. Maybe that's just like the world itself has changed, or maybe kids still think about blimps all the time. But I thought that was a cool, because he's reminiscing on his childhood. The blimp was a cool figment of a childhood type.
Yeah, well, probably like covering the parade, there was probably a blimp like we've seen. I don't know if like the Thanksgiving Day parade does blimps. We still see them at football games, but yeah.
They certainly have the big balloons. So yeah, kind of ties into that, like the Garfield balloon or whatever they do nowadays. The girl in the gas mask, her outfit, as well as the two girls stand next to the patient as he's marching with the parade, were all designed by Colleen Atwood as well. They are known as Fear, Regret, and Mother War. And what I really like about the two girls, they're carrying these staffs with like skulls on them. They never shift their face at all. It's just like straight face the entire time. It almost felt like in the River Styx, I don't know why I went to mythology without knowing the names, but there's a gaiju across the river. Forget his name in mythology, but that's kind of what I felt like these two girls are, when you're like, his guide through the parade to like the next life. At another point, he's like climbing a stairway, like a spiral staircase, and it just doesn't go anywhere. So kind of like a little nod to like Stairway to Heaven or Stairway to Nowhere, right? You mentioned the red roses on the float.
Yep.
It's got like a big skull on it as well, but it's like, I think with the roses, I think of like the Day of the Dead. That's the impression I got from that. And then, the ashes flying through the sky. It's like confetti almost, right? Like at a parade.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it's like ash. And then my last thing, at the very end of the parade, they give him a medal. And
yeah, I was wondering about that.
And then they put the medal on him, and then the parade leaves. And he's just kind of got this face like, I died and all I got was this silly medal. But the parade keeps marching on and he's left. And it's almost like the time marches on even though you're gone, you know? We'll carry on. But I think it's kind of like, it's a little sad, but I mean, it's supposed to be, right? You die.
And I mentioned this video definitely demands rewatches because there's so many things going on. And even in the like handful of times I watched it, there's some of the things you pointed out that I didn't even notice. And I think you're right. There's a lot of lore built into this song. They did their homework, and this director obviously is legendary. So he brings a lot to the table. Also, yeah, there's just so much going on. And you miss a lot in this video if you don't watch it over and over again, just to kind of see the different parts, the different things going on. And I think you're right, like the mythology involved is there. And I haven't watched any like behind the scenes of this video, so I'm not sure like 100%, but I'm sure you could find a ton of people also like digging into this video and pointing out every single theme and iconic thing on it.
You asked what I thought about it at the beginning, and I mentioned a few videos. I mean, this is like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody as far as videos and just songs go for a band. And what's really sad is that I don't think they'll ever top it. It's some great stuff since then, but I would say the same thing about Smashing Pumpkins. They were never able to top Tonight, as far as it goes. So not that they can't do great things.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to lead into it because I ignorantly did not realize they had albums after the Black Parade. I should have. I mean, they're a big band. And we're going to talk about like the next few ones. And they're good stuff, but you're right. Once you write the masterpiece that will define a decade, a generation, things like that, it's going to be hard to like top that. Yeah, let's go into the next song, and I'm going to try to count these nas, but it's na 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 parentheses na 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 na, released in October of 2010. So this is 4 years after the Black Parade video, and it's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, this video begins with the Killjoys living a carefree and chaotic life in the desert in an old Trans Am. Alongside their young female companion, they engage in various battles with masked enforcers. The Killjoys find themselves ambushed, leading to a climactic showdown. And in a tense moment, the Better Living Industries capture the girl, forcing the Killjoys to retreat. And the villainous leader utters the phrase, "Keep running," as the video ends, promised of continued resistance, setting the stage for a expansive narrative in the same music video to follow.
So first thing I'll point out, and I forgot to mention, so Black Parade, if I remember correctly, they created that identity. It's kind of like the Sgt. Pepper thing or the Ziggy Stardust. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes. So the Black Parade is a concept album or a rock opera like Ziggy Stardust or Tommy the Pinball Wizard. So yeah, they do take on like a different persona for that album. Actually, their Three Cheers for Revenge was also a concept album. And as we're now talking about Danger Days with Na Na Na, and Sing is another concept album with a storyline run through it.
Yeah, and so they did I would say almost a 180 of the persona. The Killjoys look opposite of Black Parade, right? Like they have, if anyone met Rob in real life, I think you've taken a lot of inspiration in your outfits from this group, the Killjoys, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, no, absolutely. I see it. I wouldn't pin it just to them, but I would fit in.
You could be a Killjoy because you have the red jacket, the style. Yeah, it's just oh, okay. Rob is part of this band. So maybe, your days as a drummer with them can come sooner than expected.
Well, I guess we've moved on to the next album now. I got to chase whatever they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Going to the video, it's cool. It's, again, opposite of the last few videos, actually. This is a very out on the desert action group. The Killjoys are going after the bad guys on what they call the better living industries. This one's another one I think you can rewatch a few times. I thought it was a little disjointed, and according to what they were trying to go for is it was trying to feel like a comic book. So the scenes feel like comic book panels and things are all over the place. I did like this video, but I felt like there's just things just jump, and you have one guy standing there and the next scene he's in a group, and it felt a little discombobulated, but still fun.
It feels like a guerrilla movie from early 80s or late 70s where it's kind of like a hodgepodge of these quick scenes. And to that effect, a lot of scenes were mostly improv in this. So I think the emotions you felt are accurate. We kind of presented this as a concept album, but we are introduced to 2 different people in this video. And this album, much like the last one, they were supposed to make a video for every song in the album. It ended up not happening, most likely due to the reception not being quite where the Black Parade. But we are introduced to Dr. Death Defying, who is kind of a underground radio host. He kind of sets the scene for us in the very first track of the album, and they use that as a clip on to the beginning of this album. We are introduced to the Killjoys, who are Party Poison, Jetstar, Fungul, and Cobra Kid. And this is the point actually where I realized the drummer is not in the video. But yeah, we also get the girl, who seems to be somebody of note for both Better Living Industry as well as the Killjoys. We never really understand why. I guess you could say that she represents the future because she's younger. So it's been fighting for the future. And another thing I want to point out, so all of our Better Living Industries villains are wearing these masks. In particular, one's wearing this very big mascot head that Party Poison, aka Gerard Way, steals at one point. So you've seen Umbrella Academy, and we keep bringing it up, but this and the next one have the most Umbrella Academy vibes to me. Honestly, I never understood why they did it in Umbrella Academy. I don't understand why they do it here, but it's a cool tie-in.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's cool. It's out in the desert, and there's just a lot of things going on, and the outfits are really fun, and the action is fun, and they have what is I best describe as that Nintendo light gun, because it looks like just a little plastic gun from the Nintendo system that you would play duck hunting with. I think maybe the little girl missile kid is important. Well, there's a scene where she's hacking into the vending machine to get batteries, because I guess this is the future where batteries are important, and then they get a gun out of it. So maybe she has hacking skills, who knows? But yeah, it was a lot of cool little things with their laser guns and then them just driving around. So a fun video. Couple of things as you'll notice if you watch it. So first of all, this was directed by Robert Schober, or Robo Show, I think, as he goes in the music video, and he's done a few other videos with Green Day, Disturbed, Killers, Metallica. And the villain is played by comic book author Grant Morrison, a Scottish author that's big. He's done a lot of DC storylines and a lot of I think he did a very popular Batman storyline recently.
The head villain or the head gun.
Yeah, he's the bald guy. He's the head villain bald guy. Yep. So he's the one that, I'm sure Gerard knew him from his comic book, as he was getting into comic books and stuff like that as well. And then if you're really interested in this one, MTV did a pop culture cheat sheet, which is a listing they did for some of the videos. I think they did it for Telephone as well with Lady Gaga. Here's the references in this video, and there's a lot of references. So the easiest one I saw was the Mad Max reference. It's dystopian future. They're out in the desert, cars, stuff like that. But there's a lot of other references if you really care to look it up, from Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Ultraviolet, Easy Rider, The Warriors, the very beginning with the guy on the radio. That's something from The Warriors that they do in that movie that's kind of famous. A lot of different references there. There's a band called Mindless Self-Indulgence, and they're an electro punk band that actually they appear in the video as well. So I assume they're like the other villains in this.
Of the masked people.
Yeah,
That's the only other people in the video, right?
yes, exactly. Yeah, unless they're like somewhere that I don't know, because there's also, and I couldn't find it on the few watches I did. There's references to the Black Parade in here too. Like I think there's a scene quickly where you could see like the marching band outfit under some rubble or something like that. And then they had like another reference there. But again, it was going so fast, I wasn't going to like freeze frame every scene to see if I can find these. But apparently there's some references to Black Parade in this video as well.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
Maybe at the very beginning where we have Dr. Death Defying, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I know exactly where it is, please leave it in the comments or send us a message or something. So anything else on this video?
No, so this one's just kind of laying the groundwork for what would be the entire Danger Days saga. And unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of other videos out of it. We did get Sing, which is a lot different production value than this one, but continues to say.
So let's hop into Sing. So that was released a month later, actually, for the same album, Danger Days. And as you mentioned, it does continue this narrative from the Killjoys because for some reason the villain didn't kill them in the last video. It told them to keep running out. Of course, it's just a setup for this video and the next song. They can't kill off our heroes just yet. Take us along with this one.
Yeah, so the video continues from our last one. We follow the band, or rather the Killjoys, portraying their alter egos as the Killjoys. They embark on a mission to rescue the girl from Better Living Industries headquarters. We are introduced to a new face, a new villain, but who has a face this time, like an Asian woman. She seems to be guarding the girl and overseeing this Better Living Industries control room. The Killjoys infiltrate the facility armed with their futuristic weapons and their like Blade Runner style outfits. They pretty easily waltz right into the headquarters. There's a little bit of fight at the very beginning, but it seems almost too easy. Before engaging in an intense battle with the corporation, the firefight becomes really chaotic as Party Poison, Gerard's character, guns down a masked man, only to remove his mask and immediately feel remorse. As the video comes to a conclusion, the Killjoys become overwhelmed by the Better Living henchmen. Party Poison is killed by their leader, and as they attempt to complete the rescue mission, the remaining Killjoys are killed. Video ends with the girl escaping into the desert in a van with what we assume to be other allies of the Killjoys.
Yeah, no, you described it perfectly. It's funny because I think you could watch this one multiple times and still not get the references. I had to look up a lot of stuff for this one. For example, apparently who picks up the girl at the end to save her is the DJ and his group that actually is an ally of the Killjoys.
Dr. Death Defying.
Apparently it's him and his crew picking her up and saving her to set us up for, the next video. But I would have never gotten that watching this video.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they showed his face and nah. We just see his like mouth.
Exactly. And another thing is apparently when he pulls off the mask and feels that remorse, that's supposed to be like someone in his crew that like betrayed him. Again, everything moves too fast for me to notice, but that's why he's like, oh, I just killed someone, but he was betraying us.
Oh, so in Na Na Na, it's so hard because they're all wearing the masks. But in Na Na Na, at some point, I could see where there's like, they're maybe showing that at some point, but it's so hard with all the masks. I will say there are two videos for that. Well, there's a director's cut. I watched both. The director's cut mostly just has different audio in it. They do a lot more sound effect, but it just had an extended scene where Party Poison kills the guy and unmasks him. And then he just kind of like sits like in his emotions for a while afterwards. Mm-hmm. And in the normal video, we don't get that long segment.
Yeah.
Like he shoots him and he's just kind of like, whoa.
Well, he shoots him and then he's like, whoa. And then the bad guy's right next to him all of a sudden. This is going too fast.
Yeah, I think he needs like a 20-minute version, right?
Cool, which we'll never get. So a couple other things. Grant Morrison returns to play the villain, the main villain. I can only imagine, since they both released within a month time, they filmed both of these together.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah, I can't imagine they would split it up. But different director. So this time they went with, Gerard. So I should mention also Gerard directed the last video as well, in addition to Robert Schober. And Gerard also directed this one with the man Paul Brown, who most famously, I think, did Another Way to Die, the Jack White, Alicia Keys song for the Quantum of Solace James Bond movie. I didn't think he won an award for that, but he's also done work with Evanescence, Motley Crue, Smashing Pumpkins, and a various group of other artists as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this one, and I mentioned at the beginning, the one that I didn't really like as much, and I think this is the one. And it starts really cool, I think, driving into the villain's base and like driving through that checkpoint, and then the villains press the button, and like now they know, although they get into the base pretty easily. So maybe the director's cut explains that a little more, but it really turns into a laser tag fight. This got really, I don't want to say cheesy, but it really got like kind of downhill. I'm like, okay, now it's just becoming like a big light battle and everyone's shooting so many lasers and I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of chaos. And of course, like you mentioned, the Asian woman that's protecting the girl, and she pulls out a sword at one point, but I don't think she ever even uses the sword. I feel like it's like, let's give a reference to Kill Bill because everyone's seen that movie and be like, okay, we'll just show this and this is going to be badass.
That could be it. Yeah.
But yeah, it maybe there's a lot of improv in this one too, but yeah, there's just a lot of things that kind of fell apart.
I will say in the director's cut, they explain things just a little bit more in the small ways. You're not getting that full storyline. Like the Asian lady, we never see more than what you're already kind of getting. You go like the extended clip a little bit, but that's it. We do know that she's still around at the end of the video. So maybe there was an intention for her in the later videos because she's watching them drive away. The guy, you mentioned his name 2 times, the comic book writer who ran Morrison. Yeah, I did note he seems to be in like this chamber sleeping or powered down or something because he almost walks like a robot when he's like going through this video. So I almost wonder if he's supposed to be some kind of cyborg or robot or something like that.
Like he's battery powered.
Yeah. I mean, Battery City, right? Yeah, I think that Gerard was creating something like this world here that he never really got to fully flesh out in these videos. And that's the burden of telling a story and a series of music videos.
Yeah, so this one, I can definitely see why they didn't make a third one. I know he was wanting to make one more for this series to finish it off, but yeah, it fell flat, I think. I will say it did look like everyone's still having fun, especially Grant Morrison, the villain. It just looks like he's having the time of his life playing this character because, of course, he's a comic book writer, so he's probably not used to like going to do something like this. So I think he had a blast. I'm sure the band had a blast. It was fun. And, changing their whole aesthetic from the Black Parade to this kind of fun Rob Fine style of dress. And the video is fun overall, but compared to the rest of the catalog of what we watched and where it was going, I could see like not having any interest of following the storyline.
I'll admit when this album first came out, I didn't love Na 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 when it debuted. It's very different from their previous album and it was almost jarring. But I didn't love it. It has grown on me. I love it now. Like I listen to the song all the time. I also hate the title, Na Na Na. It's so hard to like explain. I wish they just called it Killjoys or something like that. But that being said, yeah, I still love that song. Still love Sing, both the songs. And, I put these videos on at parties and stuff like that. I like the video overall because I always like when they at least try to do a story. And I think, he did make the story. Maybe there's holes in it, which you're going to get with the music video. But I thought it was still a great effort and came out pretty good.
Yeah, I would say this is a great video to put on in the background without the music because there's a lot of action. There's like, again, the laser tag battle, but there's a lot of stuff going on that didn't seem like a fun thing to have on in the background at a party that like people are like, oh, this is kind of interesting. What's going on here? And they might think it's like an actual movie because you can't tell it's the band video. So like it's, yeah. Any other notes for this one?
No, that's it for me. Awesome band, My Chemical Romance. They've got a great catalog of music videos. We didn't even get to all of them, but yeah, I think these 5 are their best.
Yeah, and we'll probably address those other ones at a moment. But awesome. Well, then thanks everyone for listening to this episode of Rewind and React. If we made any mistakes, you have any comments, any thoughts, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know. We'll try to remember the best we can of what we can with the information we have. But otherwise, thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, thanks. And we'll see you next time.